want to dive in. Yes. How many of you have thought about launching podcasts? Yes? Okay. And maybe after today, some of you might be thinking more about it. And how many of you have a book inside? Yes? Okay. Yes. So today, I am blessed to be here with two of our amazing Mackley Dallas members. I'm going to briefly introduce them. And I have a few questions just along this line of how to get your message out in 2026. So first I'm joined by Leigh Dixon. She is a God girl, Christ-centered, an author, publisher, TV host and producer, podcaster, purpose connector, and one of my favorite titles, Nana. She is right, Diva? Yes.
Diva is my grandma name.
Yes. Lori is a creative publisher and the owner of LLD Legacy Publishing. Welcome. Happy to have you here. And then I am really excited to have on the other side of me, I'm just joined by powerful women today. Angie Monroe. Angie is an activation and accountability coach, and she helps purpose-driven women who feel stuck or scattered turn big ideas like books, podcasts, speaking, and ministries and community projects into clear plans in finished work with steady support and real accountability. Welcome. Happy to have you here. And she's lean into all of them. And then I am Terilee. I am a speaker and author, the co-founder of the Boss School, the Business of Speaking. I'm here to talk a little bit today about how you can be speaking more in 2026. So, ladies, shall we hit it?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to introduce another topic?
What other else you got?
I used to work for Lori.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Wow. And being able to sit on a panel together is amazing.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's
And
huge.
I want to say, I was thinking about the panel, and normally if you facilitate a panel, you're like on one side and look at the guests, but because this is a panel that we came up with in 24 hours and I'm on it, I just decided to be in the middle of the conversation.
Well, it works better for the color.
Yeah.
For sure.
Actually,
But we're pretty good, aren't we? All right.
and we're all three men.
And we're all, yes.
So,
Nana Diva.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Let's start with Lori. If a woman knows that she has a message but feels overwhelmed, what's the first practical step that she should take to get it out when it comes to writing?
I am a huge proponent of journaling and doing brain dumps. And when those things start to rise up in you, you have to create a sacred container. Whether you're a journaler, whether you create a collage, whether you speak it out so that it can be transcribed for you, but the whole piece is get it out somewhere. And lean into the Word. God gives us those messages at just the right time. And so we have to be in alignment with Him so that flow continues. That would be the two tough things for me.
Thank you so much. Let's lean into that woman that's overwhelmed and needs a practical step to get her podcast going.
I think the hardest to just put it that simple. I have a friend of mine who's run a podcast for years on her morning walk with her phone, and she has won awards for her podcast. It's just that simple. But the first step is just breathe. It's just like the sound of music, right? You start at the very beginning. Take a deep breath. She said one of my biggest things is listen for the divine downloads. Gather those divine downloads. That's going to tell you who's going to be your big, hairy, audacious goal of who you want to interview, right? That's going to be telling you what podcast shows you want to be on. It's going to be telling you who you want to interview, what topics you want to cover, what stories you want to unveil. So just, again, data dumping helps with that. Just get it all out, and then you'll start seeing some similarities, and you can start connecting the dots together.
Yes. So good, ladies. So if you're feeling called to speak and yet overwhelmed, like you don't know where to start, and I think I would speak to an audience of Christian women that we might feel launching ministries. They feel called to serve in that way. The one thing that I want to be clear on is I want to invite what speaking is. Because you might think that it's this. You might think that it's standing here in person. And that is speaking. But I would love you to begin speaking even today. And that can come, we can speak all day long, every day, right here on our smartphones. Don't think for a minute that, allow yourself to say that, hey, a live stream can count. Allow yourself to believe that it could be that you're making reels and videos, that it doesn't have to be in person, that they're not harder to come by, but we just can get practice. This is how we get going, and this is how we begin working out, is by speaking as much as often as we can. This will give you the confidence that you need to move forward. So let's dive into this one, because I think this one is super important, and we may have someone today watching live holding women back from sharing their message, and how can they overcome it in 2026. Angie, let's start with you.
Well, I think you and I have talked about this before. The number one that I've heard most women for the longest time was shame. But that's kind of slipped to number 2 for me now. Because we're kind of in that age where you're getting kids out of the house, but now your parents are aging, and you're kind of, you've got all these responsibilities, you've got all these things, and you're not sure, you stepping into your calling, your dream, how that's going to impact your family. And so you just kind of get stuck. And so it's about clear communication with your family, your loved ones, your supporters, about saying, okay, I need this boundary for my dream to grow. And I'm not leaving you behind, especially if you've got people in your family that are have some abandonment issues. You're not leaving anybody behind, but you have something that God's planted in you, and you have to steward that. So
That's good. We're also busy. Thanks so much for mentioning that. Yeah, I appreciate that. You wouldn't know anything about any of that, would you? No, God bless you. God bless us all. We all have all these responsibilities, right? Yes. Lord, what comes up for you about something that you see that consistently holds women back?
I was going to give you some of the things in looking at imposter syndrome, not believing that we can actually be that person that we see out there already. Getting that confusion of the roles and responsibilities of what that looks like out there. So there is such a comparison culture that even being a Nana, we're looking at, okay, who's being a Nana? Oh, they're out there doing more than I am. There's always this comparison, and women learned that at a deep level as we got pushed back into roles that were not our own. They were never meant to be for us. So now we're learning to balance all the abilities that I'm going to honor with the Lord. What are the ones that He's given me, so that I make sure that those are laid out first before I add in being the best man in the world. So it's like really putting boundaries and expectations on those things. And I think that's huge right now.
So good. Anyone feeling it? Yeah, thank you for that. What comes to mind for me is there are women that are getting ready to speak or level up their speech and their speaking, and they're worried about the stakeholders in their life. They want to dig in and they want to share this massive story, and they're worried about what their family's going to say. I hear it all the time. I've had people on training calls, like when we stopped the training call on Zoom and we could just like be ourselves, and they're all sharing, my uncle so-and-so, my cousin so-and-so, my mom, right? And I want to encourage you to see what that looks like. What would it take for you to actually, and how could you work through it with your people? In fact, I'm rewriting my testimony book I wrote in 2012, and I'm seeing my dad next week in Florida, and like, I laid it all down, ladies. things, and like in my rewrite, there's other things I want to talk about, and I would like to have that I didn't have the conversation with him before, and that's a whole other story. But this time I want to say, look, I want to talk about grandma, and I want to talk about this, and how would you do with that? And so I just want to encourage you, it is okay to know that everybody goes through that, and to really just dive in and see what you can do to have the permission of your people. Right? And sometimes they won't understand what you're doing. Yeah, they just won't get it. They will not get it. How could she do that? Okay.
Yeah, how could you do that to me?
Yes, how could she do that to us? Yes. Oh, and as a sister conversation, there are ways to tell your story and have people know that.
I tell people all the time, you can bleed on your paper all day long, and then we edit.
Yes. Yes.
Bleed on your paper all day long, then we edit.
That's right. So this is going to be a very interesting question here. And we will start with Lori. How does someone know, this is the chicken or the egg question, how does someone know which lane to start in? And would it be your book or your podcast or speaking? And what signs point them in the right direction? So we're going to let the publisher talk first.
I believe that you really have to look at where you feel the most connected and the most comfortable. And if that's journaling it out, writing it out, talking it out, only dripping it out, which many times is the podcast or speaking feel, it's what you feel the most drawn to and aligned in that moment. We do a lot of author development, but as I know Angie will say too, you don't just write, edit. There are so many deep emotions that get released and unlocked in that many times you need to talk that out. And so they really go, I would say start where you are most comfortable first. The snippet, the bubble.
I like that. Okay, what do you think?
I agree 100% with what Lori said. I had a friend a few years ago that she would get up every morning, do her devotional, and then she would write this beautiful revelation of what she got out of her devotional every day. And she did this for years. But she kept saying she wanted to write a book. So I went in with some technology I had, and I found her highest producing post that she had. And we were able to create a devotional book out of that. It could be that simple. But the biggest part is regulating, nervous system regulation. It's a huge part of it. If you're going to be on a podcast, you want to have that under control. Because if you're going to go live on a show or on any platform whatsoever, you need to be able to have that edited. You need to be able to not be showing up with the blood on the page. You need to be able to show up with the edited version, right? And so I encourage people to start listening to other podcasts. Find out what you like, what you don't like. If you want to be guest, if you want to host your own, if you want to host it solo, if you want to do interviews, you want to bring other people in, whatever that is, but work on your nervous system first, your healing first. My voice was shut down for 25 years until I got healing, and then my voice opened back up again. And so that's a whole other story that we can talk about another time, but pay attention to your inner healing, because that's going to determine the best lane for you.
Can I throw something in real quick? I think too, it's being able to redefine your identity. And it really is about these days where identity is like way up there right now for everyone. And we're constantly wrestling with that. So consequences that we have to work through those, whether you're writing or whether you're speaking, it all is kind of intertwined. So work on, as Angie, in a way that you're not talking about your story. you're helping to connect to their story. That's the whole piece. Nobody wants to hear about my day every day. They want to hear how does that connect or impact them. And I think that's key.
Well, I think if I'd started writing my story back years ago before I got my healing, I would have been writing it from a victim standpoint. I was a survivor of assault. I would have been writing it from a victim standpoint. Now I'm writing it from an overcomer, victorious standpoint. And that's the true identity is, and you've got to embrace it. You've got to embrace that identity. Even if you're not sure you're fully fitting the crown yet, you've got to embrace it.
Amen.
She has the cutest baby picture on her phone.
It's full of them. Yours is too. I think what I'd like to throw in on what comes first is I don't think it matters what comes first. I do believe every speaker needs a book and every author needs to speak. Whatever you have, wherever you've gone in your journey, you can pick it up and then you might even start off as a podcaster. Charlie's sitting over here. We know she's a podcaster. She writes these little books. You know, she carries them in her cute paper bag so anyone can see them all the time, right? It's whatever fits your journey, and there's no right or wrong. Okay, so we have one last question, and it is, what is one strategy that will move the needle the fastest in your area of expertise in 2026? Angie, let's start with you. One strategy that will move the needle the fastest.
Delegation. I think once you start learning what is going to bring in the most money for you and what are the things that are holding you back from bringing in the most income, you start to realize that things are not really working in your way. If you're constantly doing the bookkeeping for your business, you know, and you could pay somebody to do the bookkeeping, and that bookkeeper not over here, then I think that's the biggest thing that I have learned. My favorite thing, like you got to delegate more too. It's saying, hey, I have this project. It's at point A right now. I need to get it to point Z. Here's the milestones we would like to meet along the way. Otherwise, I want you to use your creative expertise to make it as good or better than what I've given you. And we've got a couple of VAs that we do that with, and they are phenomenal, and they meet our expectations every time.
Awesome. Thank you. Delegation.
Yeah, good one. I had two, so I'm trying to go between back and forth. The value of your oil. And what I mean by that is don't try to be the person sitting next to you. Value what your purpose is and be okay with that. But also value it. So if you're always giving it away to everyone, that is not what God asked us to do. He asked us to value it. He gave it to us. It is our secret sauce, if you think of it that way. And if you are able to put a value to it, then find your inner circle of people that will make sure you do that. Your board of directors or whatever you want to call them. But get those people that are going to be near you, that are going to lift you up in that oil and remind you.
So good. I think the thing that can help you move the needle in your speaking is, like Nike said, just do it. Just do it. I'm here to offer you. We have speakers booked for Lori Castle will speak. Is that Nike's right there? If Lori Castle speaking in Nike Dallas in January. Christine Nicholson is speaking here in February. And Monroe is on for March. Who's interested in some with that, we will be going live and I'll be interviewing you and promoting you. But in the meantime, I'm going to offer also to go live one more time a month and let's bring people. Maybe you haven't been interviewed on the live stream, and maybe that would be new for you, and maybe that would be life-changing for you as far as speaking. We'll promote the speaker and we'll promote one other member. So come see me. Let's book you in. Let's just do it. But that being said,